Hey everybody, I'm Magic here and I'm here today to talk about my top 5 boss monster list. So just to quickly go into what I mean by boss monster, if it's not very apparent, it's the final monster that you want to make at the end of your combos. So it's not going to be something like a Boral Sword or Access Code Talker, because they're more of a finishing monster to kind of close out the games. This is more what you will make on a turn 1, or your combos are kind of aimed towards to get there, for you to be able to kind of sit comfortably, and this is kind of like your main monster that's going to kind of carry you throughout the duel, and that's what it's designed to be. It's kind of your big boss monster, like I said. Also, one thing to quickly note as well, stats are important of boss monsters. I wouldn't really want to go anything below 3000, because as you know, Blue Eyes being the original boss monster, yeah, Dark Magician's good, but Blue Eyes being the most powerful, it was the boss monster, and I kind of want to keep that trend going forward, so that one is one of the influences on what cards I do pick going forward. As a good example, something like Bujin Yamato being kind of the main monster of the Bujin decks wouldn't be classed as the boss monster or a boss monster in my personal opinion, because it is only 1800 attack, and that does mean a lot. You don't want to have a boss monster which can lose to just one normal summon swing, so that's kind of what influences it. Before we do get into this video, guys, I do actually want to take a quick second to kind of show a bit of appreciation and respect to the late Kazuki Takahashi, the creator of the Yu-Gi-Oh manga, which led on to the anime and the card game. It's the whole reason why myself, you watching at home, and a lot of people have kind of had a lot of enjoyment in their lives. This is a card game that has brought a lot of us together. A lot of my closest friends in life are who I met through this game, one way, shape or form, and it's allowed me to travel a lot across the country, meet a lot of interesting people, compete in tournaments, and just have a enjoyable time if I'm not at work or just doing the day-to-day life. And it has blessed a lot of us. So I do want to say rest in peace, and I hope the best for the family of obviously the deceased, and I do wish them all well. Okay, moving on from that, guys, let's get into the video. So I'm going to start on with my number 5 pick. One little thing I will quickly mention as well is I didn't want to storm it with all being Link monsters or Xyz monsters, Synchro monsters, so I've decided to have one from each as well, kind of being the boss of bosses. So this one will be a normal monster, effect monster, then you'll be a Synchro, Xyz, Link, Fusion, Pendulum Rituals suck, so I'm not going to feature them. Don't get me wrong, Pendulum monsters and Ritual monsters, there are good ones. However, the deck specifically, I don't like Ritual summoning, and I think Pendulum's been too nerfed right now. Maybe later on they'll be good, but apart from Drytron, yeah, unfortunately not. But anyway, let's get into this. So coming in at number 5, I'm giving this to effect monsters, and I'm going to give it to UCT, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. The reason why this is lower, because a lot of you may think this is an amazing boss monster. It literally is a great definition of a boss monster. So it has very good stats. 3-5 attack is exactly what I want in something that's a boss monster. It clears the 3000 threshold and goes above it, which does give it some kind of bonus points. It has a very good effect in the sense of being able to Book of Moon your entire opponent's field is very powerful, and then being able to attack everyone individually is a really, really good effect. The downsides, the bad reasons for this card, firstly, the deck it's played in. Now, I don't have disrespect for dinos. I do love the dino deck. It is a very fun, enjoyable deck that I have played. Unfortunately, right now in current meta, it is on the lower scene side of the meta. It is a very good, strong rogue tier 2 deck, but it isn't winning tournaments and it hasn't had the representation that it should deserve. It's a very good deck, but unfortunately, because it's of a non-meta deck right now, but it's still a very good honourable mention to be. Like, dinos can still go into a tournament, and if you have the right pilot, the right format, it can still clean the board. You know, it can do really, really well. However, because right now in this current meta, that is kind of hindering it and why it's only getting the number 5 spot. And secondly, it doesn't really have protection. Boss monsters should have some form of protection, whether it's more actual built-in protection for itself or in archetype protection, where dinos don't really have either of them. You know, they don't have in archetype protection, nor do they have a individual protection in the monster, being UCT. So that's why it's kind of gone down to number 5. But again, very powerful, really good effect. Shame the deck isn't doing as much as it deserves to do in the meta, but that is how it is. So UCT for number 5. Coming in at number 4, I'm giving this to Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamities. So this one will be taking the Synchro spot, and a couple of reasons why I've given this one the kind of top boss monster status here is, firstly, the stats are amazing. 4,000 attack on a monster is really good. It has got a very good effect to kind of just interrupt your opponent completely on their turn. And the deck it's played in is a meta deck, being Punk Therion, or any of the Punk strategies, but I believe it's Punk Therion mainly. Being able to summon this card out is very easy for that deck. They easily can make a Chaos Dragon, and then they can easily have a... They'll easily make a board on your turn to summon it, to just stop you from playing. Other effects as well, I can't remember exactly what the effects are, but I know it's got good effects. I believe it's damaging as well. It can damage you with burn damage when it destroys something. The only unfortunate thing is, it is hard to summon. 2 tuners and being level 12 does make it more on the difficult side, and you do have to very focus your deck to get there. It's high risk, but then very good high reward. What you do get out of it is an incredibly strong boss monster, so there has to be credit where credit's due there. In addition to this, it doesn't have any protection, and that is something that I do believe again is a problem. The Punk Therion deck is a good deck, but it's not protecting this card to how much it should be, or just the Punk strategy in general. It's not going to be protecting this card, and it's hard to make. But I do believe it's a lot better because it's in a more meta-relevant deck than UCT, and the effect is broken. So that is why I'm giving Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamities a number 4 spot on this list, taking the Synchro spot. And coming in at number 3, this one's going to be taking the XYZ spot, the XZ spot, and I'm giving this to Utopic Draco Future. So this card has good stats, first of all, 3k, exactly what you want in a boss monster, so it does tick the criteria there. It has a very good effect. Being the monster negate, take it as material is very good. It has built-in protection, which is another good plus for the deck, and it's played in multiple meta-relevant decks, or I'll say at least one meta-relevant deck. Another one could be meta, could not be meta. It has to be seen moving forward. It was hyped, but it wasn't, so it can be played in PK Brave, which is a known one because you can make 2 Leviair, go into F0, then climb up into Utopic Draco Future. Or you can play it in Sharks, going 2 Bahamut Shark, make it totally awesome, and then using the 2 Bahamut Sharks to go into the F0 as well. So, it does tick boxes everywhere. So, it's not too difficult to summon in the actual archetypes. Don't get me wrong. Having 2 Xyz monsters, which are already required, 2 monsters already, 4 monsters there straight away, is difficult. It's more achievable in PK. I've seen it be more achievable in PK, so you have to give credit where credit is due that PK can summon this card fairly comfortable. It's not too out of reach. So being difficult to summon, yes, it can be, but it's not as much as I'd say King Calamities, just strictly because you can do other combos and end on more stuff. Then this as well, this is a cherry on top, but I still say is a good boss monster. Secondly, it has the built-in protection, and that's kind of the key for me here. It's the built-in protection. If it's not the archetype protection, something built in the archetype that can protect it, it's got to be itself, and it does tick all them boxes. The only downside is it only just ticks these boxes. It's easy enough to summon, but it could be easier, unlike the rest of the cards we're going to see. It could have a bit better protection. It could have a little bit better stats. So that's why it's a very comfortable for me to say in the middle. So it's not going to be number 1 or 2, but it's not the lowest. It deserves a bit more respect than that. But yeah, 100% Utopic Draco Future, I've got to give that number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, this is going to be taking the Link spot, and I'm giving that to Boral End Dragon. Now, this card, like I said, it definitely ticks the box for the stats. 3,500 attack definitely is ticking the box. 3,500, again, not only does it cover the 3k threshold, it goes above it. It has very good protection. It has a lot of protection built in to this one card. It has a built-in negate as well, being a monster negate, and then it gives you additional pluses as well by being able to summon rocket monsters from your graveyard. But you're going to be mainly doing this in a Dragon Link focus deck anyway, so it's very good in archetype as well. The deck, like I said, Dragon Link, or you can play Brave Dragon Link with some Punk in there. Very powerful deck. It is, I think some people might underrate this deck. It is a very powerful deck, and what they're able to end on is incredible. The amount of negates this board can end on and break through as well is insane. And it has a second broken effect as well, just like UCT, being able to attack all of the monsters once. So already has better... it is a monster negate, just like Utopic Draco Future. It has better protection than Utopic Draco Future. You could say it's difficult to summon, however... worst case scenario, you just summon this. You can easily still summon at least this and possibly one other interaction, or at least have a hand trap if you have Bricked in Dragon Link, which is kind of difficult because they have so many extenders and are incredibly resourceful. But it's not too difficult out of range for Dragon Link to be able to link summon this card. Better stats, better protection, 2 really good effects. Yeah, this card definitely deserves the number 2 spot. It was on border to really get the number 1 spot, but the reason why the number 1 spot has it, I'll go over in just a moment, just because of how good it is. And yeah, being in a meta deck as well, this is 100% the number 2 spot. It's really powerful. You could argue the number 1 spot. I did but the next one just takes the cake. But yeah, number 2 for links is Boral End Dragon. Okay, and coming up at number 1, this is going to be taking the fusion spot. So yeah, Pendulums, gone. Rituals, gone. Vanilla monsters? Yeah, gone. But yeah, this one coming in for the fusions, I'm giving this to Mirror Jade. Now, you may be thinking, what the hell, why Mirror Jade, after I've just mentioned Boral End as being 3500, good effect and a lot of protection. So, like I mentioned earlier, Mirror Jade may not have the built-in protection, but it has an archetype protection, being Branded Opening. So it still has got protection to some degree, so it does tick that box. 3k, tick box. The summoning of this card is incredibly easy. Unlike the rest of the cards I have just mentioned, this is a guaranteed 1-card summon. And that is one of the reasons why it's tipping the edge over the rest of the cards. So being 1 card, being just Branded Fusion to end on your Mirror Jade, that's the first reason. The second reason, the effect. Being able to non-targeting banish a card is incredibly strong removal, and it is hard to kind of... You need that type of removal to deal with really problematic cards. So something like that is incredibly broken. So the effect is a big tick. Thirdly, it has a second effect, Engrave, which is to nuke your opponent's board after it leaves the field that turn. That as well gives it a really good help. It really just secures, like, if your opponent is coming through with the crackback, you also are then going to stop them and you don't care too much. So, boom, you're not dying on the crackback, really. You have a really broken effect. You meet the stats. Easy to summon. Branded is a very strong meta component right now, a very meta deck, but it's very splashable. The whole Branded engine, which will end on a Mirror Jade, is splashable in so many different decks. It's giving it so much help right now to a lot of these like littler decks that can just slap it in. And that's another huge reason why this is an amazing boss monster. And finally, the advantage this card gives you. Being able to... get rid of a card from your extra deck to do said banish can give you so much plus. If it's not an Albion to kind of get you one of your branded spells and traps, you can be a Titaniclad to get you a Dogmatica card, or special summon them, or special summon a Fall in the Outbaz. There's just so much advantage this card can give you. Hell, you can use it as just a get rid of other tech cards like Untis and the Wind Atignista if you really need to kind of deal with other cards on the field. But it's completely broken, and I truly believe that it narrowly, but definitely, gets the number 1 spot for top Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monsters. Hope you guys enjoyed, and please comment down below what you'd like to see in the next video. Peace.